Hey guys, we are the Fantasy Kings, and we are very happy to welcome you guys to our inaugural episode. So, my name is Connor Durkin. Alongside me today is Jack Conroy, and we are just two Hersey students discussing fantasy week to week, and we're going to have some fun times on this podcast. Jack, how are you today, and are you ready to get started?
I'm doing great. Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, so how we run it here is we go through each matchup for each week, tell you some of the top key fantasy players for each team who we think is going to win each matchup, talk about their standings, talk about breaking news within the teams. We won't be talking about teams on the bye, but yeah, that's how we do it here. Let's get right into it. Week 11, starting off with the Steelers at the Jaguars. The Steelers are undefeated, 9-0. This team is on fire, and they're not going to be stopping anytime soon because the Jacksonville Jaguars have lost 8 games straight. Steelers have fantasy weapons all across the board. Deontay Johnson, Juju Smith-Schuster, Chase Claypool, all wide receiver, going crazy right now, racking up those fantasy points. James Conner's also there. Right now his fantasy level is a little lower. He's still a top back, should be playing him every week. But he doesn't have that touchdown value right now. If he starts getting that, because the wide receivers are taking it all from him, he'll be stepping up. Eric Ebron's a good tight end play. Big Ben's been playing good. This team all around looking great. Yeah.
Pittsburgh has like 3 top wide receivers in Juju, Claypool, and Johnson. If you had to pick who would be your number 1 pick to have on your team out of those 3?
Yeah, so I really like all 3 of them. But right now, I think Deontay Johnson has created this certain type of chemistry with Big Ben where they're just connecting right now. I think it's going to continue for the rest of the fantasy year. So Deontay Johnson's on the top of my pick, but any of those guys worthwhile in your fantasy lineup.
So moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, Jack, like you stated, Steelers have been so dominant this year that I would make. Okay, the one exception I have to this is James Robinson, but everyone else, DJ Chark, Keelan Cole, I'd keep on the bench because the Steelers defense is going to be too dominant for him. Mm-hmm. I think that James Robinson has earned enough status points where you got to start him week to week, week in, week out. He's number 3 back right now. No reason why you shouldn't have him in your lineup, just, no matter what the matchup is. But Jaguars, they have lost 8 straight games. It doesn't look like things are getting any brighter for them down in Jacksonville. So I have the Steelers winning this one. Jack, what are your predictions?
Completely agree. Steelers, and that's not like a hot take. I think most people are going to be picking Steelers. Crazy if Jaguars upset that one. But into the next matchup, Thursday night, a great division game. Playing for the top of the division here, Cardinals at the Seahawks. And let's talk about last week's game, Cardinals at the Bills versus Cardinals. Whew, that Hail Mary at the end got everyone going crazy. Kyler Murray lobbed it up to DeAndre Hopkins in triple coverage, came down with the ball. Cardinals win. But beyond that, Kyler Murray has looked great. He's been very mobile. He's been looking like Lamar Jackson last year. He has been all over the field. And DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, Larry Fitz are some good weapons for him. Christian Kirk is maybe a lower-end flex play if you have some injuries. Larry Fitz probably shouldn't be played in fantasy anymore. But yeah, DeAndre Hopkins is that wide receiver 1.
Yeah, and for the Seahawks, they're a little banged up right now offensively. Chris Carson looking to finally make his return week 11. Lockett also, he is questionable for this week, so we got to keep an eye on him to see if he's good to go. Obviously start him if he is. I'd start any Seahawks wide receiver, Metcalf or Lockett, obviously. They've been so dominant, all year. Lockett's coming off of a off week too, so I'll look to capitalize this Thursday night, I think.
Yeah, so I have the Cardinals taking this one just because the Seahawks is still injured. Russell Wilson hasn't been playing to the top of his potential, but yeah, that's because of the injuries. I think the Cardinals squeak this one out. I think it will be close again. What's your opinion on it?
Well, I think the Cardinals, they're just so hot coming off of last week's win still. I think they're going to come in and beat Seattle as well.
Yeah, but if I had to recommend one game to watch this week, if you're open on Thursday night, watch this one. It's going to be a great game.
For sure.
On to the next one. We have the Falcons at the Saints. So the Falcons have been interesting because they started off 0-4, and they kept choking wins. But they do have some fantasy assets in Calvin Ridley, who was actually injured. You might see him come back this week if he is. That's huge for fantasy owners and the Falcons. Matt Ryan's always solid. Todd Gurley seems to be playing pretty well this year. And yeah, the Falcons are just kind of a team that if they get going, maybe something happens, but they dug themselves in such a big hole at the start that they got some tough matchups here in the upcoming weeks.
Yeah, and for the Saints, Drew Brees is out, so we get to finally see Jameis Winston come in. And this is a great opportunity for him. Falcons defense hasn't been great, so we're really going to get to see what he can do with Michael Thomas and Tavius Murray on those short little passes he has to him. So it'll be great to see how they utilize Taysom Hill as well as a weapon now that Drew Brees is gone. We'll see how him and Jameis work together for that. But I'm very high on Michael Thomas. I think this is the game for him, that boom game that everyone's been waiting for all season. This game against the Falcons is it for him.
Yeah, and don't forget, Jameis Winston, he's going to be hitting those guys. Michael Thomas. Alvin Kamara, look for him to have a great week. If he isn't out, he's questionable, but I think he'll play. I think the Saints take this one. I think Jameis Winston can put a win together with this team.
I have the Saints as well. The Falcons have just had a troubled season all year.
Yeah, and then we got two teams with a record of 6-3, the Titans at the Ravens. So the Titans were up there at the start of the season power rankings. They've had some weird losses, losing to the Bengals. They've kind of been on and off, but they do got some guys. Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, both didn't have amazing. Well, Derrick Henry didn't have an amazing week. He had a decent week. A.J. Brown absolutely just fell apart last week. Look for them to have big bounce-back games. Tannehill should be fine. I think this could also be a close game as well.
Yeah, for the Ravens, Mark Andrews, he's had, I guess you could say, a disappointing season compared to his season from last year. But I think Titans have not been great against tight ends all year. I think him and Lamar could connect in the red zone much better than they have been doing in weeks prior. So I definitely, if you got Mark Andrews, you're a little worried about starting him, I would start him because they're going to connect in the red zone. I think this is a perfect time for them to do so. So if you got Andrews, for sure, throw him in there.
Yeah, and someone who's had a disappointing season for the Ravens, Marquise Brown. I don't know. He hasn't really done a whole lot. The Ravens were supposed to be one of those big teams this year, and just they've been up there, obviously. I think they're going to make playoffs, but haven't really done a ton. I think they will take this game, though. Lamar Jackson, he'll be running all over the field.
I have the Ravens as well. I think this is his game this week.
Then we got the next matchup here. Two lower-end teams, the Bengals at the Washington football team. So Burrow's around mid-development right now, and he's developing with some top-notch wide receivers, A.J. Green, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, all great weapons for him, but the Bengals defense has really been dragging him down this year. But nevertheless, if you're developing with these great wide receivers around you, you're gonna start clicking. You've already seen it happen with them, and Burrow is improving, and I am really excited to see his future.
Okay. For the Washington football team, Gibson and McKissick, great game against Detroit last week. Gibson found the end zone not once, but twice. He's had a great year, great addition for sure to the Washington football team. And McKissick, he's been on the end of Alex Smith's throws last week. He's been more of a receiving back for them. So both of them, if you got him this week against the Bengals, poor defense, I'd throw him in there. McKissick's obviously still more of a flex. Gibson, however, is a solid RB2 now, I think, after last week's performance. They've been dominant, especially against weak defenses, so throw them in there for sure.
Yeah, I do think the Bengals will take this one. Just both teams need to look to the future, but this one probably won't be a huge, crazy game, a lot of stuff, but I do think the Bengals will end up with the win.
Yeah, like you said, Burrow's been great. I got the Bengals.
All right, the next matchup here, we have the Patriots at the Texans. So the Patriots have been interesting this year. They've kind of been a middle-of-the-road average team with the huge loss of Tom Brady. Cam Newton hasn't lived up to expectations, and yeah, they've just been an average team. I wouldn't look to play any of their wide receivers because they've all kind of been underperforming. But there's an interesting running back situation in New England. Damian Harris and Rex Burkhead seem to be the ones getting shares with the injured out backfield. It'll be interesting to see this week if anyone emerges as the top guy. It seems Burkhead is kind of the pass catching guy. Damian Harris is getting the attempts. But yeah, both played well last week, and we'll see what happens this week against the Texans.
Yeah, the thing with Harris, though, all season, I feel like dependability has just been an issue because I feel like every week there's something new with him. He's questionable, he's doubtful, some sort of injury. So that's been a little disappointing for me. But when Harris is fully healthy, he's done pretty solid things on the field. So I guess that's something to look forward to for him. As for the Texans, however, it looks like Watson is now starting to really spread those targets out between Cooks and Fuller and their tight ends as well.
And Cobb.
Yes, and Cobb. That's right. I almost forgot about him. So Fuller coming off not his best performance, only with 6.3 fantasy points. I was not happy with that performance from him. So I just be careful, especially going into this matchup, which the Patriots have a solid D, and starting any of those Texans wide receivers because Watson's been spreading the ball out a lot more than he has been.
Yeah, 100%. I do think the Patriots will win this one. I think the Texans, with the DeAndre Hopkins leaving, the coaching problems they have, another team that needs to look to the future, get some picks, get some young guys in there, and Deshaun Watson will eventually click with them. But yeah, I think the Patriots do take this game.
I have the Patriots as well.
The next matchup here, we have the Eagles at the Browns. The Eagles and their whole division, in fact, have been absolutely terrible. Carson Wentz has looked horrendous. This team hasn't been able to get anything going. Jalen Reagor, one of their rookie wide receivers, hasn't really done a lot, but that also can fall on the quarterback. Carson Wentz not being there, not delivering, is hurting this team. Sure, Miles Sanders is going to be a great fantasy play. But yeah, man, this Eagles team is underperforming, and the crazy thing is they can still win their division because of how bad everyone is.
Yeah, as for the Browns, some good news for them. Nick Chubb finally returned last week, and he dominated with 21 fantasy points. Kareem Hunt did just fine as well, so looks like they're picking up where they left off back when Chubb was healthy in the early season. If you got either of those two guys, I'd throw them in your lineup every week. It looks like they're running the ball well enough, both of them, where they're going to give you good points no matter who they're playing. So I'm very high on Chubb and Hunt, whoever you have. I'd start him. Jarvis Landry, too. Shout out Jarvis Landry. He's been pretty great these past couple of weeks.
Yeah, and with, Odell being out and stuff, Jarvis Landry's had to step up. I do think the Browns take this one, though.
I actually have the Eagles. I think Carson Wentz is sick and tired of all this negativity in Philly. I think the whole team is sick of all this negativity in Philly. So I think the Eagles are going to come in and try to do something against a mediocre Browns team.
Hey, yeah, I mean, if Carson Wentz starts connecting, hey, maybe they got something there, and hey, they could be in the playoffs. The next matchup we got is the Lions at the Panthers. So the interesting thing about the Lions, another middle of the road team, could go on a run, make the playoffs, sneak in, but one of their spotlights of the season has been in the running back position. DeAndre Swift looks like he finally got that first role, and he's getting those touches. He's playing great. I'm happy for the kid, but they got some decent fantasy options. If Kenny Galladay is out, Marvin Jones Jr. should be there. Even if Galladay's in, Marvin Jones Jr. has looked pretty good. It just comes down to touchdowns there, and Matthew Stafford's always there as well. T.J. Hawkinson, when healthy, has been playing great also.
Oh yeah, and like you said, DeAndre Swift's finally looking like he's going to take over RB1 duties. Where he was splitting carries more with Adrian Peterson, but it looks like
Yeah,
his
and what
his
a
role
mentor to
is.
have, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It does look like Peterson's role is now slowly but surely shrinking. As for the Panthers, however, Christian McCaffrey once again is questionable going into this matchup against Detroit. We'll see if Mike Davis can put together one last performance for us. His past few performances have been weak in points. He's a veteran. I think he's just tired. It's that mid-season sort of curve where you're almost there, but not yet. So I think he's just tired, and we want McCaffrey back as soon as possible. Shout out DJ Moore as well. Great game. In my opinion, best game of the season for him.
Yeah, so my pick for this game, I think the Panthers can actually take this one. If they get guys going, DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey back, Robbie Anderson has a good game, I think the Panthers can take this one. What about you?
I've been a DeAndre Swift fan all year, and I think DeAndre Swift is going to expose Carolina this week, so I got the Lions.
Could happen, man. All right, but on to the next matchup here. We got the 0-9 Jets at the 2-7 Chargers. Yep, the Jets, not much to say. Maybe Jamison Crowder could be a play for you. Their running back's uncertain, but yeah, there's not a lot in New York right now for the Jets. That's all I got to say about them.
Yeah, and Chargers once again. Herbert's been great. Looking like their future quarterback. So
defense letting them down. They should not be.
Yeah, exactly. Their defense is letting them down. Both these teams are just in meh right now, if you know what I mean. They're just it's not much to say about this matchup, as you can tell.
Yeah,
so,
really.
Jack, I got the Chargers. I assume you got the Chargers as well.
Same thing. I think Chargers will just get a hold of this one if the Jets win. Shocker to me. But on to the next one, we got the Dolphins at the Broncos. The Dolphins have been interesting. They're 6-3. Team looks pretty good. Tua's played well.
Yeah, look out for this team in the future as well, because they're going to be scary.
Yeah, Devontae Parker is there. Getting Myles Gaskin back next will be nice. Defense has been holding up. Yeah, this Dolphins team is a nice surprise. Good for them. Good for them.
As for the Broncos, Drew Lock, horrible performance against Vegas. 4 interceptions. I was really excited because I thought he was going to be a great option, to replace if you had Mahomes on a bye or something. But he actually did the worst out of all starting quarterbacks last week.
Yeah, and quick story, guys. In our personal league, I told Connor to play Drew Lock over Alex Smith. And he would have won if he played Alex Smith.
I would have won, but
yeah.
It's all water under the bridge now. So Denver has lost 3 of the last 4 games. I got Miami. Tua's been great. Devontae Parker's been great. Nothing but good things to say about Miami.
Yeah, 100%. Another good game, possibly. Packers at Colts. Packers are kind of looking like maybe it's another Super Bowl run. Aaron Rodgers playing great. Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams have both kind of been sharing carry. And Devontae Adams has been, guy's been awesome. Defense has been good. Good things to say about the Packers. Play Aaron Rodgers, play Devontae Adams, play Aaron Jones. You don't need me to tell you these things. Yeah, they've been great.
It's a shame because the Colts defense has been so great. Do I think they'll beat Green Bay? No. But the Colts defense has been so great. It's the offense of Indianapolis that has been holding them back. Phillip Rivers has been so-so. I don't think he's the main problem. The main problem is just their wide receivers. T.Y. Hilton. He's questionable going into this matchup, and he's just had an awful, probably his worst season out of his career so far. So I got the Packers. Jack, I assume you have Packers as well.
Yes.
Into
the next matchup, the Cowboys at the Vikings. Yeah. Dak being out, they weren't even winning with him. They got some weapons, but QB situation.
Yeah, and
No
Dalton,
thanks.
do you think Dalton, he should be good to go for the Vikings?
Yeah, that I'm not sure on that, but if he's back, yeah, these
Yeah, that's
guys.
why I was
But
curious.
there's so
It's
much
questionable.
talent in the wide receiver core for them. I don't even know. Like, it's
Yeah,
crazy. It's crazy.
it's just bad luck,
It's the
really. That's all I
Cowboys'
gotta say.
curse, dude. They have so
It's
much talent.
exactly just bad luck. Just bad luck, man.
Yeah.
As for the Vikings, however, coming off of the win against Chicago, it looks like this team has sort of taken a turn for the better.
Yeah.
As they headed into the second half of the season. So I think the Vikings, Dalvin Cook has looked great. He is hot right now, along with Justin Jefferson. I got the
Adam
Vikings winning this
Thielen. I
one.
mean,
Yes,
if they
yes,
had
2 touchdowns.
if they had a
off
slightly
a
better
2-touchdown
quarterback,
performance.
this team and they have some defensive injuries, but whew, this team.
Yeah. So I have the Vikings winning this one.
Yes, I do too. Actually, I don't think the Cowboys will get it. They're crazy, but still can win the division.
Yep, surprisingly.
Next matchup: Chiefs at the Raiders. My Super Bowl favorites. Trying to go back to back. The Chiefs: Patty Mahomes, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Le'Veon Bell, Sammy Watkins coming back, Tyreek Hill. Whew. Oh, and Travis Kelce. All fantasy guys you could possibly play. I mean, defense is there. This is a Super Bowl team.
Exactly. And, I start all of any Chiefs player you got this week.
Yeah.
Vegas' defense has been awful. Well, any reasonable Chiefs player.
Yeah, unless you're Drew Lock, you can usually get through them.
Yeah. As for the Raiders, however, have been so-so all year. Josh Jacobs, though, has been the team. Josh Jacobs and Darren Waller both have been great. I love Darren Waller in this matchup, even though he's playing against the Chiefs. I think he's going to be the guy in the red zone who's targeted the most. I think he might come in top 3 tight ends this week.
Yeah,
so look for Waller to have a good performance.
And Connor, don't forget, Chiefs' only loss this year is against the
for sure.
Raiders. Chiefs want some revenge. I think they'll get it. I got the Chiefs.
I have the Chiefs as well. Raiders have kind of taken a turn for the worse, I think.
And then last but not least, these Thursday and Monday games looking great. Rams at Buccaneers should be a good one. Jared Goff has been average this year, but Robert Woods has looked good. Malcolm Brown, Daniel Henderson have both been decent options. But yeah, this should be a good game. Rams 6-3, right up there with Cardinals and Seahawks in the division. I think that's going to be a tight division coming on playoffs.
And if the Rams win this game, what a turning point it's going to be for their season. I think if the Rams come out of this one with a win, I think their season is only going to make a turn for the better, if I had to put it into words.
Yeah.
As for the Buccaneers, however, we will get to see the 3 wide receivers, Godwin, Brown, and Evans once again. If you got Godwin, Rams, great defense. I'd be a little hesitant on starting him. I have Godwin in one of my leagues. I will not be starting him this week. I do not trust him, especially with Antonio Brown now being added to the mix. And it looks like Brown and Brady have chemistry as well. So if you picked up Antonio Brown, you're lucky because it looks like his target share is going to go up.
And that's the thing. There's so many good wide receivers. You're like, who do I play? Especially with the addition of Antonio Brown. I'm going to go out on a limb here, Don. I say the Rams take this one. What about you?
I think they're Buccaneers. Sorry, the Buccaneers are a little hype coming into this matchup because of Ronald Jones having that amazing run, and they've had an overall good game. So I actually have the Buccaneers winning this one.
All right, we will see. To recommend 2 games this week, I would recommend the Thursday and Monday nights. I think they'll both be great games. But teams we didn't talk about today. 4 teams on the bye. The Bears, the 49ers, the Giants, and the Bills. We will get back to you with those teams next week.
Yep, and once again, to our viewers, thank you for watching this inaugural episode.
Yeah,
we're excited to bring you guys more content weekly.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.
NFL season's heating up.